Hi, my name's Sarah Milne-Day and I'm a Blue Badge tourist guide for Yorkshire. You may have seen some of my videos on social media or YouTube where I've been out and about showing off the fantastic Yorkshire countryside. So you're probably wondering, what am I doing talking to you from my house? Well, the reason for that is today I wanted to talk and demonstrate really virtual tours. Now, virtual tours are something that I hadn't even considered until the pandemic and lockdown hit us in spring of this year. Before that, I was too busy doing tours on the ground. But as a tour guide, what are you to do when the world can't come to you? Is, well, take yourself to you guys. I did a course in the summer, which was run by the Guild of British Tourist Guides, they look after us Blue Badge guides. And it was really enlightening on what a virtual tour can be like and what's involved in it. It's so much more than just a sort of a spreadsheet replacing being somewhere. You can really get some added value out of it and do and see things that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do on a normal walking or coach tour. So, for example, you don't have the time or distance constraints that you do when you're physically somewhere. So I can whisk you from one side of York to another in the click of a button. Similarly, with all the sort of tools and apps and things available to us now, we can take you up above a city, give you a whole panorama of it, show you old photos and maps, all these sort of things that just isn't really possible on a walking tour. And it's sort of come to the realization that virtual tours can be something that continues after hopefully lockdown and travel restrictions are all gone. Why would you want to do it if you can travel somewhere? Well, you might be thinking of going somewhere and not have any idea of the place and want a bit of a taster of it. You might not be able to travel for any number of reasons and want to revisit somewhere you have great memories of, or somewhere you've always wanted to go. There's any number of reasons, and you can do it easily from the comfort of your own home. So today I'm going to take you on a little tour around the fantastic medieval city of York, located here in the north of England. So I'm just sharing the screen with you, and let's bring that up. So my virtual tour is called Gates, Bars and Pubs, the Walls and Streets of York. And there's a saying here in York, and I always have to stop and think about it to get it right because it's a bit confusing. York is the city where the streets are gates, the gates are bars, and the bars are pubs. And let me explain why. So, welcome to York. This is a map of York in the early 1600s, but actually very little of the city layout has changed in that time at all. And you can see going round the city is the city walls. Now, these are the most complete city walls anywhere in the country. There's one section you may have noticed is missing, and there never were walls here. That's because this area, known as the King's Fish Pond, was considered a good enough natural defence that it didn't need the walls at all. Now you can see the sort of the roads coming into the city, and at the end of the roads there are gates to get you in to the city. But if we go down to this bottom corner of the map and we have a look at the quay, you can see there's all sorts of gates listed on there. Petergate, Colliergate, Monkgate, what have we got as well? Coppergate, there's lots of them on there. So why are there all these gates when there clearly aren't that many gates into the city? Well, that's down to these chaps here, the Vikings. Those infamous Norse warriors who arrived in England in the mid-800s. They sailed up the Humber estuary and they settled in York, or Jorvik as they called it, and that became the sort of the capital of the area they ruled on and off for 150, 200 years. Now, without probably realising it, many Norse words, Norse was the language they spoke, have been incorporated into the English language. And the important one for us is the Norse word gut, which simply means a street. So the reason why streets in York are gates is they were Norwegian or Viking guts. That's just my clock telling me it's 6:30. So here are a few examples of the many gates or streets within York.
Just off the Shambles is located the shortest street with the longest name, Whitmer Watmer Gate. It said it means, oh, what a street.
So back to that map of York. So we know now why the streets are gates, but why are the gates bars? Well, that's nice and straightforward. A bar is simply a shortened version of barrier. So something that physically can be opened or closed to let you in and out of the city. And let's take a look at some of those bars now. So we'll head round up to this one here, which is the fantastic Bootham Bar. Now, like most of the city walls, the gate itself dates from the medieval period, so sort of 12, 13, 1400s. That's when York's city defences were really being built up and strengthened. But there has actually been a gate here on this site for nearly 2,000 years. York is a Roman city. It was founded by the Romans in AD 71. And this gate, a gate on the site of here, would have been the main entrance into the Roman city. Their main building, the Principia, was built right below where this magnificent building stands now. That's a world famous York Minster. Now, if you look up on the top, you'll see a couple, well, three figures. These are actually a bit newer. They date from the Victorian times, so the 1800s. In the Victorian period, there were sort of two camps, and there was a camp that wanted to knock down the walls. It was hindering progress and development within the city. And then there was a camp that wanted to save the walls and turn them into a bit of a tourist attraction. And luckily, it was that group that won. And they widened the walls and made them all completely walkable. So you can do the full circuit of the walls. It's just over a couple of miles long, and it's a really great way to see the city. These figures were added by the Victorians, and you've got a scribe, a knight, and a mayor of York, keeping an eye on the city. So back to the map, and we'll head up this nice straight line with a good right angle. This is following the route of the Roman wall, and if you know anything about the Romans, they liked their straight lines. And we will come round to the lovely Monk Bar. I really like this gate. I think it's a very pretty one. This is the view as you're looking into the city, and this is the view looking out of the city. Now, you will notice that there are windows here, and that is because this part of the gate was actually used as a private house, and it was rented out to people, and the rent went towards the upkeep of the city walls. Now, you'll have to take my word for it, but just here, if you get the chance to walk through, look up and you will see the bottom of the metal portcullis gate that would have been raised and lowered to let people in and out of the city. It's said to be the only working portcullis gate in the country. It's a little bit of a stretch. The last time it was actually used was in 1953 for the coronation of Queen Elizabeth. And it said it took them 10 minutes to lower it, but 2 weeks to get it back up again. So they've never actually tried again. Now we're going to head round past the King's Fish Pond that I mentioned before, and round to the eastern side of York and to Warmgate Bar. This is a special gate because it's the only one to have the surviving barbican, and that's this construction here, which sits in front of the gate or bar itself. Now, all the gates would have had one of these originally. This was a great strategic device. So up you come to the city of York, the gate is raised here. You come into this area, the gate is shut behind you and you are trapped. And then the people controlling the gate can decide whether they want to let you in or not. Now, these are ramparts, so you could stand on them. So if it was decided they didn't want to let you in, they might just raise the gate and send you on your way. Or if you looked really dodgy and suspicious, they had the option, there you were, stuck, to just fire arrows down on you or tip boiling hot oil on you. Now, if we head round, we get to this gate here, which is Micklegate Bar, which is the grandest entrance. You can see it here in the sunshine, looking very splendid. This was the really sort of show-off gate, and this is because it's the gate at the top of the road that comes from the south of England and from London. So this was the route that the kings and queens would take, and this was where they would enter. So it's the grandest gate to really show off the wealth and importance of the city of York. Now, there would have been spikes up on the top of it, and the heads of people who had been executed would have been displayed as a warning to visitors. And there's a quote from Shakespeare's play Henry VI, Part 3. And it's said by Queen Margaret. And she is talking in reference to Richard, Duke of York, whose head was one of the heads displayed on here. And she said, "Off with his head and set it on York's gates, so York may overlook the town of York." And there he was displayed. Now, his two sons went on to become King Edward IV and Richard III, so they had him removed at that point. But he was probably the most famous resident, somewhat unwilling resident of Micklegate Bar. So we know why the streets are gates and the gates are bars. Why are the bars pubs? Well, they're an English institution, and York has plenty of them. Here's just a few for you to see. Now, this one you'll see has the great name, the Roman Bars. It's said about York, start digging and you find something. And when this pub was being refurbished about 30, 40 years ago, they discovered the remains of the old Roman bath underneath. So the name was changed, and you can go in and order a pint and then pop downstairs and have a look for yourself. So this is just proving my little point. So if we walk on in, here we are, we're on Monkgate, and we've gone through Monk Bar, and we're now on Goodman Gate. And what have we got there? There you go, there's a pub. So York, where the streets are gates, the gates are bars, and the bars are pubs. So we'll just come out of that. So I hope that has given you a little taster into what virtual tours are like. If you are interested in finding out more, there should be a link that you can click on that will take you to my website, www.experience-yorkshire.com, where you can get in touch, book a tour, and find out plenty more. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Experience Yorkshire, and I will be putting together more virtual tours as we go through autumn and winter, and I hope to offer virtual tours and real tours for you in 2021. Thank you very much for watching. See you all soon.